Adina Hoover,
Present.
Whitney Rogers,
Present.
Kevin Marin,
Here.
Angela Steckity,
Here.
Leah Conover,
Here.
Carlos Avia,
Here.
Jessica Radonio.
Here. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will begin with our retiree recognition. And so I'm going to read one at a time, correct? We'll start with Mr. Chris Francis. He started with CUSD 201 in 1994. In his time here, he taught social studies at the junior high and worked in an elementary school as a 3rd and 5th grade teacher. Chris also coached basketball at the high school for many years. So I welcome your words.
Just want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's funny because a school board member brought me in. So 25 years ago, they were talking diversity and inclusion, and they wanted Joe Morganfield to come in. He had other job opportunities, and I met Keith Becker. He said, "Funch, what do you think about the teaching?" I said, "It's good, I like it." He said, "Thought about going back to school." I said, "Sure." And like I said, Dr. Wold wrote a grant for me. I paid for some classes, the district paid for a couple other. But I just hope that you continue the diversity and inclusion. I was walking down the hallway 2 years ago, and it was a 2nd grader. And he walked up to me and he looked. And he stopped and he just kind of. And then he walked away. I said, "Have a good day, buddy." And he looked at me like, "I think that's what I want to look like one day." And I was like, wow, you can have that impact. And then the second thing happened this year. We're teaching perspective, fake news. What do you think about different people? Do you have any stereotypes? So I stopped the class and I looked at him and I said, "What would your perspective be of an African American if you didn't have me for 2 years?" And the class looked at me like, "That's interesting, Funch." But when they have different perspectives and different people in the room, they get different perceptions. And then the outside world, they make their own choices. So I would encourage the diversity and inclusion to continue. Those kids need to see people that look like them. It makes them feel more comfortable. So even when I don't see all the kids in the school that are African American, when they see me in the hall, we always stop. And they just feel more comfortable. But every day, like I said, I came in, did the best job I could do so that others could be brought in. And I'm proud of the work that I did. And I always talk about my attendance, which my mom said, every day you get up and you go to work. Every day you do the best that you can. And I've always tried to support the parents. Basketball was great for me. I enjoyed that. We didn't have as many winning seasons as I wish we would have had, but the relationships that you build with the kids every day, and they see that you're working with them, and it's totally different being in the classroom than on the court. They get a different sense of you as a person, because I can tell them, "I'm not your parent, I'm not your teacher, but I'm your coach, and I'm going to tell you the truth right now." And they respected that. But thank you for the opportunity. And I had a good 25, 30 years. And I'll come back. I might do some subbing for Lindsay. I'm not sure yet. I haven't.
Right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, nope, you don't get to leave. Right? You don't get, no, you're subbing. Yes, yes. So I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Funches for, this is 6 years.
It is 6 years.
Yes, and as I came in, he was a 3rd grade teacher, and we've had many experiences together, highs, lows, and everything in between. But when we talk about culture and climate, not just of this community, but of our school, I couldn't think of 2 folks that I'll be talking about, but a person who embodies that and really means that and shows how important that is in a community of learners more than you do. And I think life lessons are really, really important as someone who plays sports too, so I can relate to that. But not everyone is the best at learning the math and the reading and the writing, and they need some other things to get through. And so he always takes the time, even when it's exhausting, like right
Like
now,
you.
to make sure that kids are heard and seen and taken care of in ways that that need to be, and teaches them the hard lessons at times, but then he's there to pick them up afterwards. So you will be greatly missed. That's why you can't leave. But we very much appreciate you. I appreciate you. And this community appreciates you and loves you very much. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Next, I will speak about Mrs. Kathy Labita. She started with CUSD 201 in 1987. In her time here, Kathy worked at Miller and Manning, teaching 4th and 5th grade. Kathy also led students in safety patrol and student council. You're invited up if you like.
I didn't know I was going to speak, but anyway, so I actually started here student teaching at South School, and I was in 5th grade and did a little bit of 4th grade as well, and then moved over to Miller and was there forever. And then Lindsay brought me over to Manning for my last, I think, 5 years. So I've mainly been 5th grade, but I've done some 4th grade and a 4-5 split. I've grown up here. I was 22 years old when I started, and I won't tell you how old I am now, but you can do the math. So I feel like, I don't know, like I said, growing up here, so it's been great. I've had a lot of great experiences. I've met a lot of wonderful people, countless children that I still see now in the community. I'm going to, a restaurant, and one of my former students is serving me. The first time a student had to serve me alcohol, though, that was weird. But, they're out there in the community, they remember me, they come up to me, they're like, you were my 5th grade teacher, I remember you. And I'm like, I know your face, I might not know your name, but, and then they tell me their name and I remember them, and it's just been a great, great ride. I love District 201, and I will come back next year to sub. I can't promise for how long. Honestly, we'll see after a year how that goes.
No.
But anyway, thank you, really, for everything. It's been a great, great experience.
We didn't plan this subbing opportunity. We just bring them back. No one ever wants to leave us for good. No. So I think, did I steal you or no?
You did.
Okay. We don't steal, we borrow. But Ms. Labita came from Miller, and I can't say enough great things about someone who I've learned so much from in different ways, and really truly understanding what it's like to continuously want to improve on your ways of teaching. Her creative ideas with Genius Hour and her financial literacy project that she's finished up. Now, we did have a little scare on the playground with maybe a product that didn't go so well. I don't know whose class it was from, but when you are in your final years of teaching, or even in this stretch right now where you're in the middle and you kind of think about, like, how do I reinvest in the love of teaching? She is a prime example of it, and really truly getting to find a passion in what she does and getting the kids to really invest in their own learning. So we will greatly miss you. I know your team will greatly miss you. And just like Mr. Funches, we love and appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sheila Rue. She started at CUSD 201 in 2013. She worked at the junior high as a library media specialist. Karen served as a department chair and led the computer club.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be here for the last 10 years. I've loved working at the junior high. I've really loved everyone that I've ever encountered here has been so kind, and I've learned so much. I've worn many hats and done many things. Excuse me, many of you who have had children go through the junior high probably know me as the person to go to for Chromebook issues, and I've enjoyed that as well. But so I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed it. So with that, I'll just say thank you.
Okay. Sheila is come here. She's a dear friend of mine, and I'm so thankful that we've gotten to work together these past 10 years. I couldn't have done it without you. You are just an amazing individual, an amazing teacher. I want to read something to you because I know that I will start tearing up and crying if I look your way. So here we go. I'm really excited to announce our media specialist, Sheila Rue, and her retirement tonight, but I have to say it's a bittersweet moment because Sheila is what we call a unicorn in the field of education, and as you know, unicorns are hard to find. While Sheila's position at our junior high is technically called a media specialist, she's fulfilled so many more unicorn roles. She's our first line of defense when something goes wrong tech-wise. She facilitates our Smart Service Club. She sponsors our tech club. She teaches reading intervention. She runs the programming. She coaches our teachers in analyzing data. She's even filled a long-term sub position for a maternity leave in 8th grade math. She does it all. She truly is a unicorn. And this is just in her years with us. This is actually her 29th year in education. She was in Franklin Park before. She was in Norridge. Then she came to us. She's taught everything from health to honors literacy in 8th grade as well. And on a personal note, she's always willing to lend a hand. She's an incredible thought partner and a shoulder to cry on. And believe me, I have been there. We're sorry to see you go. But we're super excited for your next adventure in life, which is at our very own Westmont Public Library. She's going to be working there. So,
Amy, I'm afraid the kids are going to bring the Chromebooks to the library.
I'm just happy this is not goodbye, but I can't wait for you to pick out Grayson and myself some books at Westmont Public Library and all of us. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll end with Karen Johnson. She started at CUSD 201 in 2008. Karen worked at Manning as the library media specialist. She helped to lead many clubs, including Say No to Drugs, Drama Club, Book Club, and Computer Club.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I can convince Karen to sub, but I'm gonna try. That's why she's not here. She's hiding from me, but I might get her. It has been a pleasure to work with Karen. I think one of the greatest things, similar to veteran teachers, is in your last couple of years, you really think of what are the ways in which I can inspire myself to continue and inspire young kids to learn. And in the library, you're inspiring young kids to stay invested in reading. And in her last couple of years, she took on Makerspace, which was something really exciting for her to learn and reinvigorate a space that we had to change around a little bit, but it really provided some opportunities for kids to explore and learn in new ways. And so to see teachers constantly, like our students, want to learn and grow forevermore, we are lifelong learners, it's just a testament to who she is. So we love and cherish and appreciate her as well, and we wish her the best, and I will find her, so I hope she's watching, and we would like to enlist her services as well.
Any other comments or words from anyone?
Thanks, Miss Labita, for leaving a legacy, though, to the district. Oh. You know, Miss Maris.
So we will move on to closed session. The The chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session to discuss personnel issues, student discipline, and purchase of lease of property.
So moved.
Second.
I don't know, is something in here? Oh. Laura's talking, so, roll call?
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Steckity?
Yes.
Ms. Hoover?
Yes. closed session, and we'll continue with the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the April 25th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 1st, 2023 special meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. From what I can see, there's no public comment. That's double checking. All right. We'll move to the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Personnel recommendations. Edith Currington, Bilingual Director, Personnel and Community Outreach. Dr. Carla Braun, Director of Continuous School Improvement and Professional Learning. Vasilisi Gomez, Spanish Teacher, Westmont High School. Andrew Daughtery, English Teacher, Westmont High School. Kristen Ritchie, Literacy Specialist, Coach, Westmont Junior High School. Arissa Grieven, Math Interventionist, Westmont Junior High School. Stephanie Jankowski, Social Worker. Justina Kapuska, Social Worker. Rakaya Fatima, Elementary Teacher and Summer School Teacher. Rachel O'Neill, Elementary Teacher and Summer School Teacher. Imani Alima Ibrahim, Behavior Interventionist. Patricia Meza, Long-Term Sub, Miller. Leave of Absences and Resignations. 2, approval of May 2023 expenditure report. 3, ratification of April 2023 regular payroll. Approval of audit engagement. And 5, approval of student tours.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Steckity?
Yes.
Ms. Hoover?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Do we have Edith here? Chris.
They put me on a time limit because I would speak all night about Edith. And the district had vision, and we are excited about our dual program, and we are going to go strong into the future. We're sending a message to our whole community by hiring Edith as our biliteracy director, including dual language, but this is a phenomenal leader, and we've worked with her before, and I'm so excited to welcome her back in a leadership position. She is knowledgeable, very experienced, incredible interpersonal skills, but the thing that I know most about Edith is her true love of students and people, and that drives her every decision, and she's got tremendous talent, and that's my 30 seconds. So I'm going to welcome Edith to come up and say a few words.
Who's gonna wave?
Hi there, I'm Edith Rivera Corrington, and I am so excited to be back here in Westmont. It is a wonderful community. Through this process, I've had the opportunity to meet so many stakeholders, and the passion and pride is so evident, and it's invigorating truly, and I can't wait to partner up with you and accomplish great things. We're going to take this dual language program to the next level, I promise.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're just putting a name to a face that is going to have a wave from Rachel. No need to speak. All right. All right, we're going to move to information and discussion. We'll start with the proposed student handbook revision, second reading.
And so at our last meeting, Kevin Weck was here from the high school to talk to the board about the upcoming changes for the student handbook. And today we have J.D. James, Assistant Principal from Manning, and Mike Lipinski, Assistant Principal from Westmont Junior High.
Yeah, we're here to speak to any questions that you may have about the proposed changes to the handbooks.
Anyone had any
Nothing.
questions?
I think they're good. I did like the adjustment on the dress code at the junior high level, so thank you.
Thank you.
Move quickly.
All right.
Great job, guys. Good job. Wonderful.
Kevin's probably like, come on.
I know. Grilled them, kind of. All right, we're gonna move to the tax levy and update.
So I wanted to provide an update for the board and the community about the 2022 tax levy and extension. So back in December 13th, the board approved the tax levy. The levy is a projection of the property tax revenue that the district will be receiving. Earlier this month, the county released a tax extension, so the actual dollars the district is receiving. Back in December, the district projected a 9.35% increase from prior year. The tax extension actually came in at 5.46% from the prior year. So that's right in line of CPI or the cap that the districts receive, which is 5%. So overall, the district was projecting $28.4 million, and the tax extension is going to be at $27.4 million. Any questions?
So first off, thank you for the update, because it's good to hear, you know, we talk a lot about theoreticals when we're talking about money, so it's good to hear the actual. But I also want to just kind of make sure that I understand it correctly now that we have actuals. If we had only asked for 5%, and this came in at 5.46, would we have received 5.46 or 5%?
We would have received 5%.
So that is the point
difference is
of
lost.
overestimating, is making sure that any amount is collected, essentially. So even though it might seem like a really big thing with this 9.35, we typically overestimate fairly significantly so that we're covering kind of all of our bases to make sure that we're able to get all the revenues available to us.
Correct.
Thank you.
And we start receiving these payments at the end of this month and beginning of June. And then the remainder of the payments will be September through December. So partial of the tax levy this year will be in this year's fiscal budget. And then around 48% of the levy will be in next year's budget. Thank you.
We're gonna move on to the 2023-2024 student fees.
So last board meeting, I shared the tentative school fees. There were a couple changes to what I presented last board meeting. The first is driver's ed. There will be no increase from prior year, so it'll be a $250 student fee. And then the second update is the lunch prices. So the government issues a lunch calculator that the districts use to produce lunch fees. Districts who are in National School Lunch Program can only increase to the max of 10 cents. The calculator suggested 16, so we have to stick with the max of 10. So that's why we're increasing each meal price to 10 cents. The milk will be flat, so no increase in milk costs. Also attached to the agenda is the pay sheet form that parents will be actually receiving. It will be posted on the website as well. This really breaks down the fee per building and a short description of that fee and the dollar. And we broke it off per building, so then parents will kind of see it a little bit better. It will streamline the registration process, the pay a little bit faster, just a little bit more communication on per school, what the fee is for, how much it is.
I can appreciate the
Yeah.
blurb or the description. I think that begins, just as you said, educating or informing parents what they're being charged.
And I actually give a shout out to the finance committee on that one. That was brought up at a finance committee meeting, and as a group and as a committee, we decided to really streamline that for the community, so.
Yeah, super. This is great. And I like the ties, and I know that your department learned a lot when you were making these ties also. So I appreciate the work, and I feel like it is work that is going to pay back in dividends with just communication and understanding. I'm paying this fee, and it goes to this, and this is what it's for. So, yeah, appreciate it.
And tonight, the fees will be approved, but I want to let the parents know and the community know that if there are payment plans that are needed, just to communicate with the business office, we're willing to help you at any costs on payment plans. We'll produce free and reduced lunch forms for those families that need it, because the district will be really trying to collect these school fees and not have outstanding balances, but at the same time willing to help families that are in need.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we're going to move along to the bid results for alternative special education transportation.
So during the February 14th board meeting, I presented the transportation update where a recommendation to bid for alternative special ed transportation was brought up. The district spends roughly $800,000 of taxi costs per year. That is outside of our contract with Sunrise, which is our special education contract for transportation. So the taxi is for students that are not being transported through Sunrise. So to eliminate those costs and the increase of costs over the years, the recommendation was to bid out for alternative special education transportation. So this will replace those taxi costs. The bid was on May 2nd. We had one company who bid out, which was Safeway. Using those bid proposals that Safeway presented the bid opening and using the statistics of the taxi individuals, the equipment, the aides, the district would have saved $311,000 this year by eliminating the taxis and going with Safeway with those costs. I went through and spoke with the references at the conference I was at a couple weeks ago, all high regards. They're a new company, but no complaints. They're very responsive. They have a lot of admin on staff to answer any calls from the parents in the district. So there's no complaints on that end. The contract will start fiscal year 24 and run through fiscal year 26.
And this is in addition.
This is in addition to Sunrise, our special education. So our first route is to always route our special education students through Sunrise, because that's through a cooperative. But for those students who can't be transported through Sunrise, or there needs to be an extra aid or equipment, we're going to use this company instead of a taxi.
Is there any,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, that was me. So the Safeway part is not a cooperative. This is just.
This is strictly a contract with the district. And in addition to the cost, it's a lot more safer. There's legal, there's insurance behind it. So if there's any issues in regards to safety and student safety, there is liability insurance with this company rather than taxi services that don't have that liability.
So you mentioned a contract. Is it it's a 3-year contract that we're signing?
Correct.
And is there any out in there for the district if we don't like how things go, say in the first 3 months or the first period of time? Given that they're a new company and.
There isn't, but there is a way to negotiate the year-over-year price increase. So for example, if there's a performance issue, there's a clause where we can negotiate the price increase for the prior year, but there's no clause to say, it's not working out for the next, the first 3 months.
So for the next school year, if the price goes up, we're not obligated to stay with them? Is that
No,
right?
we are, it's based on performance. Because also attached to the document are the rates for the next 3 years as well. So they issue the rate increases, so we can't leave the contract because we don't like the rate increase. These 3 years are binded in it.
Right.
It's more of a legal substantial clause to say, we don't want to work with this company anymore. We can't.
And they
leave
also
because
can't
of the
go
price.
up from where. they're currently
No,
at.
these rates are set in stone.
Right.
And these rates are better than Sunrise.
Shocked. But it's a new company. That makes sense. Yeah.
But the districts that they've worked with are 3 times bigger than Westmont, and they have no issues with them. So their special education enrollment, their overall enrollment are 3 times the size of CSD 201, and I trust the assistant superintendents of business at those districts, and they would tell me if there was any issues, and they haven't alarmed one issue.
Great job saving 300 grand.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're going to move to our board meeting topics calendar.
So every year I put this together for the board, and it's attached to board docs, and it just kind of gives the board an idea as you work through the next fiscal year, what topics each month you can anticipate. So when the tentative budget would be in front of the board, approval of the budget, levy, so forth. And then I also included some of the months that we had talked about having various committee meetings as well is included. And then, of course, as the board reviews it, and then with Jack coming on board, if there's other things that, you know, people would like to see added, that can be done as well.
It's a great thing to have as we kind of starting anew with a new superintendent. So we all have kind of projected topics that we need to stay on board with, leaning on, not leaning on Shannon as much and things like that. Information again. We can invite Kevin back in to sub for us. No, just kidding. Any questions about this at all?
No, I would just reiterate what I reiterate every year that we do this. Let's get dates on the calendar for these committee meetings, because if we don't get them on the calendar, they don't happen. And also, if they're not on the calendar, we can't invite people to them.
Right.
If you're on the calendar, we can block it off. So let's just really, like, over the summer, or in the upcoming, I suppose summer is here, over the summer, let's get kind of dates aligned for all of these meetings that are supposed to happen for the committee meetings. Let's figure it out. We already have our board calendar approved, and then we can start working on it.
And let's have a plan for promoting them outside of us saying these things in these meetings.
Which I'm gonna bring up in the
Yeah,
next
just
board
brings
topic.
us to our next discussion, which we can just continue with the board committees as I pass out the sign up for what you're interested in. It's not a contract.
So, yeah, attached to board docs, after we do the board reorganization, the board then selects committees that they want to serve on, and the committees that the board has are strategic planning, facilities, finance, policy, and public relations. And just as a reminder, you can have up to 3 board members on a committee. If there's 3 board members, the agenda needs to be posted, minutes need to be taken. If there's 2 board members, you don't necessarily have to post, you know, it's a good practice. But, so as you're looking at the committees, you know, you want to be cognizant of how many people are signing up for the different committees.
And I would say to, like, don't be afraid to add your name as a third, because there are many times that it's hard to get 3 of us at the committee meeting. So many times it'll be 1 or 2 attending anyway. So there's just, sometimes myself or Shannon will reach out, like, who's going, so we know if we need to post at all. And most times we don't have to.
Often the finance and facilities meetings are almost always joint, and so those are fair, I think they've all been joint,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
She almost just.
They're so
I think there are a few
intertwined.
finance committee meetings that were just
Almost
finance.
just merge
Yeah, there
those
was a couple
together,
of
but
those,
there
yeah.
have been a couple, but I feel like facilities always comes up in a finance meeting, no matter, it almost feels like, that's a topic for another day.
And again, what you're gonna bring up?
Okay, so, I don't know if you guys know this about me. But I really like for people to be involved in the committees. And one of my passion projects is to get people in the committees, not just us, right? Folks from the community, because that is the strength of the committees. And something that, as I have learned from being on the board, the work of the board happens in the committees. Anthony mentioned it with the bus, right? This came out of the finance committee, that the work started in the finance committee, the work's been done in the finance committee for the last 12 months, and it only came to us just recently. because that's how it's supposed to work. The work should be done in the committee. So I would like to propose that we kind of do like an ad hoc committee. So like a committee for maybe 6 months. That's kind of akin to like a nominating committee from like the PTOs. So committee of board members and ideally with involved parents as well, and community members, that is really there to identify and invite community members into our committees. Because part of it is, who's a great person to be on the facilities committee, right? I'm not an architect, and we have many architects who live in Westmont, right? That would be wonderful information to have on the facilities committee. Or, a finance master, right? More ideas bring more opportunities and better solutions, which we have a lot of things that need to be solved. I hesitate to say problems, but we always have solutions that are needed. So, so that's, I envision it as like a group of folks who really just like go out there to identify. It feels very PR, but it's not necessarily PR, because it is really meant to identify and tap people on the shoulder. And that's not just us. It can't be just us. We are 7 people, and we have 1,200 students and 20,000 people in Westmont. 7 people cannot recruit everybody in Westmont, but we can do it if we crowdsource it. So essentially, I'm talking about like crowdsourcing, a committee putting together to really get folks involved in our committees, so that we can have great committees, which mean that we'll be more effective as a board. So, I'm gonna stop babbling now.
Is this something that like, what I'm trying to understand is how does that work, or how are they meeting, or what's the time, what are you seeing?
What's the commitment?
Yeah.
I mean,
level.
I think if there's interest in it, I see needing commitment potentially like over the summer or even early next school year. I feel like if we don't get folks, we've got this master plan, we've got a lot of stuff coming up that we need a lot of community input for. So I almost feel like the more that the committee could meet, the faster it could be done, and like just kind of like knock it out. I almost feel like if we can get together, once every other week or once a month for a shorter period of time and just really like work quickly to identify people, invite them, and get them signed up. Ideally, we'll already have dates on the calendar for these. This is part of the reason why I want dates, right? So that it's like, oh, we want you on the PR committee because you're a marketing pro, and here's the 4 dates. Can we count on you for these 4? These are the reasons that we really want you there, we need you there, whether you're a parent or not, especially not parents, right? Does that answer your question?
Yes.
I think it can be kind of self-figured out in that sense.
So I appreciate your question, Adina, because I love this idea, but I think one of the big hurdles to committee involvement is time commitment already. And so I feel like we're solving time commitment with more time commitment. And that's like, for me personally, I know that's a struggle, but I think that may be a struggle for others too. And I guess I'm just wondering, before we go this route, like, aside from plugging committee involvement at board meetings, which who knows how much we're being viewed right now.
Which is
what other
people.
things have we done? Like, are there other steps or strategies we could try first, like at back to school night kinds of things, advertising and committee involvement then, or I don't know. I just I love the idea of brainstorming how to get more people involved.
I was going to kind of push your question to Kevin, like, has something like this been done, or?
Well, in the past, and again, I hate to say, pre-COVID, but we did have better community involvement in our committees, early on.
Saying, how often was joint committee?
Joint committee was 4 times a year. And then the other committees met as needed, but also met on those 4 dates as well. And part of it was like prior to doing the big renovation of the high school and those types, when you have a topic like that, you do get people out. And so we did have several community members who were involved in those discussions. And my guess is, once Steve Cashman finishes his study, that as the board discusses at board meetings and you start talking about, hey, our facility committee is now going to have to dive into this and really look into this, that'll spark some interest. So what's worked in the past is, definitely communicating it, working with the building administration because they know their parents and they can reach out and tap those people as well. Because it's that personal touch, an announcement at a board meeting, it's easy for people to just say, I'm sure somebody else will go. But when that person is reaching out to you personally and saying, hey, I really value you, I think you have a lot to add to this group, that is a lot of times that connection is what gets people.
And so maybe the first step is when, at the first committee meeting, once we have the new organization, one of the agenda items is like, can we brainstorm a list of community, and make that the work of the committee to find those people to tap
Each
on their
individual
shoulder.
committee?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, I guess depending on what the needs are, like wherever
Yeah.
we want.
Well, I
think
think
that's
all
up
of
to-
our committees have the need. That's my thought on
Then
it.
yes, then yeah,
Because like we
100%.
don't, right, we lost the majority of our PR folks.
Mm-hmm.
It was PR, finance, and facilities.
It was the main, yeah.
Policy.
So then it's, to Kevin's point, it's in collaboration with the building administration because they might know who exactly could be tapped on the shoulder for that. Trying to streamline it a little.
So just, first of all, I'm completely in the team photo, so, but what's the outcome of that committee? In other words,
The
not,
outcome
more people on committees is clearly the desire, is the goal. What is the deliverable of that? If there's a committee that's going to be the committee to get committee members, committee.
There's no better way to put it. Because we have to do everything in a committee.
I get it. What is the deliverable? Like, what is, if you could wave the magic wand, what would be the outcome? What would they bring?
I mean, I think, personally, and this is like, I think it's at least 4 members of our community that are not board members on each of these committees. Maybe they overlap, where facilities and finance overlap, that makes a lot of sense. But that's me personally, like, when we talk about community input, we're not getting it.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I mean, similar to Jess, I mean, my thinking is, first of all, without the dates and a really specific understanding of the commitment that you're asking of someone, which is always, because I've had these conversations, I'm sure we've all had these conversations with neighbors and friends or whatever, but you'd be great on the whatever committee, and, oh yeah, what's involved? Well, it's some meetings, and it's, when are the meetings? Well, it depends on and then the conversation kind of fizzles, right? And so the very first step is to be able to be in a position, first the 7 of us, but to be in a position of being able to manage that conversation with information. And then the second thing, independent of whether there's a committee to find the members of the committee, then we could just this is about a network. This is about 7 of us becoming 49 of us, right? So each of us having 7, so.
I'm not a fan of like spending time to not spend time, but we don't have answers to these questions. And as long as we don't have answers to those questions, how much time is it? What is the time commitment? What does it actually do? We can't sell it. And that's all, and that's all part of like what I envision, kind of let's answer that so that we can then actually go out and do the thing. Let's answer what is this committee? What does policy do? How often, like, let's do that answer.
Yes.
And there's no other avenue for us but to call it a committee.
Right, exactly. And that speaks exactly to what I think what I heard Jess say anyway, which is the first order of business for each of the committees in their next meeting should be to do exactly this. What is this committee's purpose? When are we going to meet over the next 12 months or whatever it is? And then who are the existing members? What is each individual's commitment may be a strong word, but, you know, what's that? Role and pledge to find new members. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, just speaking to it, and then even having that, your finger on the pulse of what's happening in our community too. And it's fortunate and unfortunate. I've seen some things happen where it's a kind of a burnout because we have great energy and involvement, but sometimes it's the same people. And so I don't want to
Tap the same.
tie them up even more, but at the same time, those are some of the people I want to talk to. So,
And that speaks to some of why, like, because tap them now.
Right.
To tap other people.
Right, so that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to speak
Yeah.
to, like, to be efficient in that I don't want to have, like, I kind of see it as, like, we have work to do, each of us on a committee, to answer those questions. And we're kind of spearheading that, like, okay, I'm going to define the committee I'm on so that we can have a general meeting to say, we want people, and this is what we're looking for, and we can give them that answer. But I'm kind of envisioning, too, like, getting those people that are already involved, like getting booster members, because they have already, that's the network. They're in the buildings, they're with the parents, they're doing events, they've met people. Like, even if I can get them once and get their brain once in a room this summer to say, an invitation, we're looking to get more involvement. You know people, you're already involved, not necessarily asking for you, but if you want to join us, great. If you can't, we just want your, what's in your mind and the people that you know, so we can start to get names, and then we can start to tap. So that's still us meeting, like, we've kind of said we'll be involved, we'll do some work, but maybe it's starting there and getting some of those key people in a room to say, hey, this is what we're looking for. We never know, we may get some of those people, but they may be able to help us get those names. And then we continue from there.
Yeah, and that kind of speaks to, like, the envisionment here is, like, what I always hear from myself and from other parents is it's the same 10 people.
Yeah.
Right? It's and as long as we don't challenge that, it will always be the same 10 people, and they won't have time for this. So this is almost, I know it's time up front to solve time over here, right?
Yeah.
Utilize those same 10 people and more to figure out who are the 40.
Yep.
Because just like them, we're only 7 people. We can only be in so many places. We can only take so much of the load. And especially with the facility stuff coming up, like, those are going to be some massive, massive conversations.
Yeah.
Was there a survey sent up? I think one of the administrators asking about parents' professions. I remember filling that up.
Did it a couple times because.
No, somebody just did it recently.
Somebody just did it
Somebody just
recently. I
did
don't
it
remember
recently.
who though.
And maybe that is administrators. But I don't want to keep saying, like, Lindsay, come to another meeting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Lindsay, who do you think we should talk to come to another? Right?
Yeah, that's more of what I was getting at. Yeah.
That's that piece that I almost envision.
We did try, like, surveying, community members and seeing if you want to be a part of it, and we got very little response from that. So I think it's more that personal touch. I think that's what's going to, recruit more people, to get involved.
Yeah, I'm just talking about organizing that personal touch. That's kind of, so that it happens.
Yes.
So it actually happens, right?
And to Carlos's point, again, having some idea how frequently the group is meeting, how long those meetings are going to be, and then also ultimately, what's the outcome? You're getting these people together, and is it to, provide a recommendation to the district or to the board? Is it just to be a sounding board, like as the district comes with ideas, getting feedback from the community, so having an idea of what that purpose is.
So but that can't happen until we all have our first committee meetings, like, separate. So I think that, again, first step is, to your point, the calendar, like, when are the meetings? I think that's the first step, and then at that first meeting, that clear agenda that every committee has of all of those things. What's our purpose? And I think we should write them down and put them all in one doc, and then we just have that as a reference point for
that
here's
note-
the purpose of our committees,
I
unless
just
that
wrote-
exists somewhere.
No, on that note, were you saying that, Jess, I just wrote down that once we define the roles and set the
Yes.
calendar, I think there should be a tab under the board. Committees,
Totally.
here's what they do, here's when they're meeting this year. Just so it's like, okay, and then when you're tapping someone, go to the CUSDO page and go link here. And this is what the committee is.
No, we
this
each
is
get a
when it
QR
meets.
code tattoo, and we could, here are the committees, scan me.
So just moving on from here and what our next movement as the board or what we're asking, I want to sum up where we go from here. So we've all acknowledged that, you know, even working as a committee, even that's some work we can be doing outside of meeting. Just looking at documentation of defining the groups that we can play into, and then working with dates. And then it's something that, should it be a point that each committee meets this summer and come up with
Calendar?
calendar dates?
I think it has to be.
Yeah.
I think it has
For
to
sure.
be.
Is there a time limit that we want to put on that we want those, or we want it before our
I mean,
next June
I'm
meeting?
always gonna say a time limit
Yeah, too.
because we only meet X number of times a year.
Yeah.
And if we don't put limits on ourselves,
Right.
it's not gonna happen. You know?
Do you mean like you're saying a calendar deadline, like we need to have our?
Yeah, or
Deadline by
presenting
which the
some
calendar will
information
be-
with calendar dates
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
for
next
sure.
board meeting? Is that something we want to put on ourselves?
June 20th?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not gonna happen.
We make it to
Who's,
July.
which administrator's gonna lead the PR team?
Probably, is that Edith?
So we gotta wait till.
Community
July.
outreach?
So I think we need to have that answer for the PR team. Does an administrator have to be on the policy team?
I would recommend the superintendent's
Okay.
policy committee.
Especially if you're not gonna be the superintendent.
Well, no, I mean.
Are you really recommending that, or are you recommending it for Jack?
And people have been on the policy committee, I mean, basically what happens is, policy committee is really, as legislation is passed, there is always legislation that impacts school or adjusts the school code. And so then, our district, we are members of the Illinois Association of School Boards. Part of that membership is the press policy subscription. So as those new laws come on board, press sends out notices to school districts with all the different policies that have been modified or changed. And so then it's up to the policy committee and the superintendent to review those and then bring that to the full board. And honestly, most of the time, what's recommended, we're gonna go with because they have a team of lawyers that's doing this.
That's telling
Once in a
us,
while, there's one that really truly is an option for the district. And one really quick example for the board, when all the policy changes related to concussion protocols came out. Well, press, they said it could be a doctor, a medical trainer, you know, different people who could screen the athlete to determine if they could return to play. The board at that time in our district said, no, it's got to be a doctor. You know, it can't be the athletic trainer that, you know, the school is employing. And so that's one that we raised the bar, but we changed it a little bit. So that does happen once in a while. But that's why, I mean, ultimately, the board adopts the policy, but it's the superintendent who implements the policy.
And you're talking about like maybe once a year?
Once or twice.
It's like 3 to 4 times. Depends on how busy our legislators are.
So, once a
Average
year?
is twice a year.
If it's an election year, it's only a couple times. If it's not an election year, it's a lot.
Is the committee sign-up sheet still floating, or do you have it now?
I have one of them.
Yeah, I just realized that because I'm gonna be the delegate for the
IAS.
IS, I need to be on that policy committee, and I did not put my name down for that.
So, and that's not, like, I think there's gonna be, like, more of your high involvement committees. Honestly, policy committee is not one of high involvement. It's
No.
a lot of reading to,
Right.
not your head. But
No, and
they're-
that's something to like, estimated,
Yeah.
estimated time involvement, or estimated like needs, right? Lots of reading, say it in a better way. Lots of reading and like, 3 to 4 1-hour meetings a year, something along those lines. Like, yeah,
Yes.
speaking to,
Yes.
yeah, I think we do need to do those things. Yeah.
So is there a,
So the
I'm sorry.
question
Go
was,
ahead.
do we
No, go
put a
ahead.
time
well,
limit on
the
it?
question is, so you have, the June 20th board meeting, I agree, I don't know if it's realistic to have that plan. We're going to be, in my reports to the board, we're going to be talking about the July board meeting, but it's somewhere around July 18th right now, but we're going to have to talk about the date. So is that more realistic
That sounds
to
more
have it for the July board meeting?
And when is our board retreat? Is that scheduled?
That's July 25th, it looks like what.
So if we have those dates, could we potentially talk about this
At that.
at the retreat?
It could be on,
Yes.
it could be on the
Yes.
top, on the agenda.
That's good, and the timing is good.
It is
because
more
leads us-
brainstorming time.
Will we get a list of who all is on the committees as of now, like with the admin and us?
We should have that by the
For that
20th.
I can,
Awesome, so then we can all just email and figure out.
I can include it in the board update.
Great.
And then it's always attached to the June board meeting as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
It's another discussion item, but it's just to say, here's what
Here's
everybody's
what they are.
thankful for.
Yeah. Can someone add my name to the policy one? Sure. Thank you. And take it off of everything else. No.
And some of it is, the more folks that we have at the committees, the pressure that it takes off of us.
If there's
Right-
one, if
right
there's
now
one thing
it's
we
like-
learned in the last 6 months is that people think the work happens here,
Yeah, and it does not.
and it doesn't happen here. This isn't where it all happens. In fact, very little of it happens here. It all happens in the committees.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the committees, you're not part of the work.
Yeah. And like right now, we sign up and it's like, you gotta be at that meeting because it's only gonna be the 2 of you or the 3 of you, right? If we've got more involvement on those committees, then if a board member's gotta miss a meeting, it takes a little bit of pressure off of us, of like another meeting.
Right, a
That
discussion
we
is
have
still
to go
happening
to.
without us.
So, work in progress. Looking to do more brainstorming, like we're still working on it and defining, we can do that still, but the next big brainstorming will probably be at that July 25th.
With the knowledge of the dates and
Of the dates by
and the
the
description of the
July.
committee and the
Yes.
commitment,
Yeah.
both in terms of dates and time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you said, is this more reading? Is this more, what is this?
So dates by the July board meeting and then talk during the retreat.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Leah.
Yeah, thank you. It's an important conversation.
You guys know I like to talk and hear myself talk, bring up fancy ideas.
Right. Moving on to action items. 1, the approval of the student handbook changes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the recommended revisions to the elementary, junior high, and high school 2023-2024 student handbook as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Steckity?
Yes.
Ms. Hoover?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
2, resolution of termination of employee. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the termination of the following employee: Deanne Rezak.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Steckity?
Yes.
Ms. Hoover?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Motion passes. Number 3, the approval of the authority for additional May 2023 expenditures. The chair will entertain a motion to authorize and direct the treasurer to pay any bills received in May 2023 that have been budgeted for the 2023 fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Steckity?
Yes.
Ms. Hoover?
Yes.
Mr. Avia?
Yes.
Ms. Redonio?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Marin?
Yes.
Motion passes. 4, regarding alternative special education transportation. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the bid from Safeway Transportation for alternative special education transportation service for the fiscal year 2023-2024 through 2025-2026 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Steckity?
Yes.
Ms. Hoover,
Yes.
Mr. Avia,
Yes.
Ms. Redonio,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Ms. Rogers.
Yes.
Motion passes. 5, approval of the 2023 student fees. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the 2023-2024 student fees as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Hoover,
Yes.
Mr. Avia,
Yes.
Ms. Redonio,
Yes.
Ms. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Ms. Rogers.
Yes.
Ms. Steckity.
Yes.
Motion passes. Now to our superintendent's report.
So a couple items in my report. The first one, I've already referenced. The board approved their board meeting calendar and the July 8th board meeting. Jack Walderman has a conflict. He's actually presenting at a conference on July 18th. And so the board has to come up with a different date. One possibility that I can float out there is agreement on July 25th as the board self-evaluation. So, if you don't have a lengthy agenda, action items, so forth, you could do that and then go into closed session for your board self-evaluation. Or if you want to try to come up with another date in July for your regular meeting.
I see it as a possibility. Going back to our agenda items, typically, what are we working to do in July?
The calendar.
Let's look at that calendar.
Let's look at the calendar. It'd be great to do it on the same day.
Yeah, tentative
It would be
budget. Usually
great to do it
the
on-
personnel always, you're hiring people.
Work just to get it out.
There's usually not a lot of real heavy discussions typically,
We're going to be at South.
We have to.
Right.
I think we
We're
have to
normally
be
at South for the
that
retreats,
purpose.
right?
Yeah. And I
and there's a
think because of.
conflict with the village hall.
Okay. So
We would be
wouldn't
there
able to-
anyway.
Yeah, you'd be there anyway.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be able to air the meeting.
Correct.
But that closed session retreat isn't aired anyway, so, and that's the chunk of what we're gonna be doing that day, so.
I would much rather do it on the same day.
Me too.
Fine.
I would,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Great.
Good? Yeah. All right. So the 25th, we'll move and I'll announce it again at the next board meeting as well, so the community knows. So the regular board meeting for the Board of Education will move from July 18th to July 25th. It'll be at South School with a start time of 6 o'clock.
great.
Next item, Cass Avenue Railroad Crossing closure. The Cass Avenue Railroad Crossing will be closed May 19th through May 27th, both for vehicle and pedestrian traffic, so our bike riders as well. The pedestrian crossing west of the road of Cass Avenue will still be open. We have reached out to Westway to make them aware of it so that they can make the adjustments they need. But also parents, especially if you transport your own children, you need to be aware of, definitely potential delays. And so I probably ask everyone, grace for Westway, grace for the school offices, grace for our parents. Unfortunately, it's our last
Man, they couldn't wait one more week.
school.
I have a question as a board member, as a parent also, like how was?
It's not-
Was the school or
Oh, no.
district ever, the
I don't
village?
think I don't think
No.
the village is either. I
So
think-
that
The
is
village doesn't
owned
play
by them.
into that also?
I don't think
Like
they
any
have a lot of
construction
input.
Project?
No, the village pushed very hard, but those tracks are not owned by us. They're owned by Burlington Northern. And so when they say so remember when the track was closed over the winter, I think?
Yeah.
That was like that was like prepping for this bigger issue of whatever they're solving over here. And yeah, the village pushed as hard as they could.
I appreciate that.
But they were like, no, we're closing it.
I mean, I know any project has to get approval, it should be getting approval from the area that they're going through. So I don't buy all of that.
It's another
The ultimate
committee.
decision, but.
All I know is we weren't. We found out when a press release went out from the village, so that's when we found out that it was closing. So yeah, so it'll be fine, could be some delays, but.
Do you know if with Westway, did they make any predictions of like asking for earlier times or are they, for parents information?
They just they're gonna tell the principals to let parents know to be 10 minutes earlier outside and allow for late arrival.
So all pickups are 10 minutes or earlier?
Correct.
So we want to make sure we're communicating that to our.
Yeah.
But that's two routes, right? And do they pick up north of the tracks at all? Or are they only south, like they pick up south of the tracks?
No, there's some north of the
There are?
tracks. Yeah.
There are some bus routes that start south and end up, but do pick up north of the
Do
track.
pick up north of
Same
the
buses.
Oh,
Ugh.
That's a bummer. That's gonna be the hardest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Information, all constant communication.
Yes,
for that.
yes. So it'll start this weekend. And then finally, congratulations to our Westmont Junior High and Westmont High School graduating classes, the class of 2023. We're very proud of you and wish you the best of luck.
yay.
Any questions for Kevin? Further questions? Not the angry board member, parent here. Board reports. We're moving to our, no further public comment, my audience. Moving to our future meetings and events. So the events continue. Miller Family Fun Night will be May 17th at 5 p.m. at Miller School. We'll have, as a request and shout out from the Westmont Junior High School, there's a Research Fest. It's May 19th at 1:45 p.m. And we're asking parents, community members, grandparents to come out and listen to the fine job that our students have done for the year. This is kind of their final project. I was one of those parents this year. So the community is invited.
They're researching the 20th century?
Is it decades?
It's decades.
The
Each-
decades
Each
project.
group has a decade that they researched, and they have like 5 specific topics.
And I was wild. So these kids they do a fine job, a great job. They will moan and whine that they have to do it, but it turned out great. It turned out great each year, so. Go out to that. As Ms. Akiri said before, our graduation events are happening. Westmont High School graduation dance will be May 19th at 7 p.m. at the Westmont Junior High School.
Junior high school.
Junior high dance.
Junior high school dance.
Oh, sorry, junior high. The graduation dance will be May 19th at 7 p.m. The Westmont High School graduation, May 23rd, 7 p.m. at Westmont High School. And the Westmont Junior High School graduation, May 25th at 7 p.m. at Westmont High School. Also for the junior high, our 6th graders will be having a Renaissance Fair. That date is May 23rd, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is the first time since COVID that this is happening. So there's more information about how to attend and tickets and things like that. So stay tuned for that. But that is the date for that. Again, another project the kids have been working on this spring, putting a lot of work into. Mr. Clark goes all in. The last day of school will be May 26th. It's a PLC dismissal for elementary and junior high. And then there's a final schedule for Westmont High School. District Summer School starts June 5th. And then our next CUSD 201 board meeting is June 20th at 6 p.m., Westmont Village Hall. Any other dates of any other events that you guys have? All right.
Oh, the summer shootout, the Junior Sentinels summer shootout.
Oh, yes,
It's
that's
June 10th.
June 10th.
So stay tuned. I think this is the week, last week they're accepting
Applications.
Applications for,
To be in the shootout. Any surrounding
Really? They're gonna
towns,
close
anybody
that?
who wants to.
that's what I think the flyer said, at
Okay.
least. And it's a fundraiser for Junior Sentinels group,
Okay.
which promises to be a great thing. Going back to like where prom report was.
Oh, was prom?
Prom was incredibly smooth. We should not take that for granted. There were no discipline issues.
Wow.
Have fun.
Good.
It's amazing.
I saw some beautiful pictures.
And it was fun.
What?
No discipline, and it was fun.
And it was fun. Fantastic.
You can have both worlds.
it's fun for the
No
students.
dancing? No.
Clarification.
There was, dancing was appropriate.
All right.
So we don't need to go into closed session? Is that correct? All right. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the May 16th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did it again.
Right.